welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course, we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Senior Editor, Mr. John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, coming to you live from the Stream.tv studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
And we also have joining us at the table our very own AMC Movie News Production Manager, Mr. Dennis Sen.
Hey, John, how's it going?
Everything is awesome, Dennis.
Everything's awesome.
Yes.
I don't really recognize that person over there in the corner.
No,
it's someone new.
It must be somebody completely new. I don't recognize her whatsoever.
I couldn't even take my Superman glasses today because I really couldn't see when I woke up, but I'm just channeling my inner Superman. All right, guys, two major pieces of news broke in one story yesterday as it was revealed that Vision will appear in the next Avengers film and that he will be played by none other than Paul Bettany, who has been the voice of Iron Man's Jarvis in all the films so far. Vision is an android who at one point in the comics falls in love with and marries Scarlet Witch. John, are you surprised by this news?
A little surprised. I mean, I think a lot of us have been expecting Vision in it. There's been a lot of speculation that Vision would be there and all that kind of stuff. Now, we should point this out. The studio has not confirmed this, but two major news sources have reported this individually and independently from each other. One of them being Variety. I believe the other one was The Wrap, independent of each other. So that's a pretty good sign that this is probably happening. And you know, it lends more credence to the theory that we had that Ultron somehow, some way, in some form, would be a corrupted version of the Jarvis software. Now, obviously, we're talking about Vision. We're not talking about Ultron. But this opens up the possibilities. Like, in the comic books, Ultron creates Vision. I've got a feeling they may go the other way. I got a feeling they may go, Tony Stark creates Vision with the Jarvis AI, and then maybe working with that Jarvis AI, maybe then they create Ultron. I don't know which way they're going to go. But I love Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany's a terrific actor. He's shown that in a lot. You know, one of his best performances ever was in, remember that bad Heath Ledger movie, guilty pleasure movie, Knight's Tale, and Paul Bettany played the poet in that. I think Paul Bettany might have been nominated for Academy Award for some movie at some point, but I still believe his best performance was in that movie. He was amazing in it. So surprised by it, maybe a little bit surprised, but I'm also really happy. I think this is great. I'm looking forward to seeing him in there.
Well, you know who else is in Winter's Tale? Alan Tudyk.
That's true. Yes.
I'm not too surprised. I think there were a lot of rumors about this, about Vision being in Avengers 2 and maybe Paul Bettany playing him. What's interesting, I think my theory is more that Tony Stark creates Ultron and Vision at the same time, and they're kind of like brothers, and Ultron is the one that gets corrupted. And like then his voice kind of becomes James Spader's or something like that. But yeah, I think it's a cool idea, and I think it makes sense because we're just assuming just from that teaser that Tony Stark is creating Ultron, because in the comic books it's Hank Pym.
Yeah.
But Hank Pym's not going to be introduced until
Ant-Man.
So we're assuming that it's Tony Stark. Plus that teaser, I think, gives it away.
Yeah, and it fits. It fits in with everything they've done so far. So it'll be interesting to see. All right, what's next?
I'm really excited about this next piece of news because Johnny Depp has officially signed on to play real-life crime boss and longtime fugitive James Whitey Bulger in the upcoming film Black Mass. Bulger was a Boston crime figure who made his way up the ladder by being an FBI informant against the city's Italian mafia. Dennis, do you like the fit of Johnny Depp as James Whitey Bulger?
I do. I mean, Johnny Depp is a fantastic actor. I know, like, some of his more recent stuff I haven't really cared for, like Alice in Wonderland, a Lone Ranger, and some of the later Pirates of the Caribbean.
Dark Shadows, and, Rum Diaries. And,
but he is still a really good actor, and I think he can bring it when he wants to. And if I'm correct, the last time he did a role in this world was Donnie Brasco, which is a movie I really like. I know that originally he had stepped out of this movie because they weren't willing to pay him the $20 million salary that he was asking for, because I think the production wanted to cut things down. They offered him 10. I don't know what happened. Maybe they came to a compromise. So I'm glad he's on board. And I think on a side note, Ben Affleck is doing a Whitey Bulger movie as well, with Matt Damon playing Whitey Bulger and Terrence Winter, who wrote Wolf of Wall Street and Boardwalk Empire, writing the screenplay.
It's been a while since I've seen a Johnny Depp movie that I liked. And I think the last time we see Johnny Depp, playing kind of the gangster world, it was Public Enemies a couple years ago,
I didn't see that
which
one.
I did not think was all that good.
Yeah, I heard it was bad, so I avoided it.
Yeah, it wasn't all that good. But Johnny Depp is a really good example of, a lot of film fans make the mistake that if a movie sucks, then we blame that on any and all the actors who were in it. Oh, such and such sucks because he was in that sucky movie. Johnny Depp's a great example of the fact that, no, Johnny Depp is a world-class actor. Like, not good, not great, world-class. Maybe not in the top 2 or 3 actors working today or anything like that, but he's a world-class talent. But he has been in some really bad movies, especially in a row. I mean, he's been in a lot of bad movies in a row. But it does not change the fact that he is an extraordinary talent. And I love the fact that we're getting away from the clown Johnny Depp for a while. Because a lot of these movies, he's played a clown-type character. And it's nice because we've got this, but also we've got that movie Transcendence coming out that looks really solid, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does in that. So, yeah, I mean, overall, and I love period mobster movies. I'm a sucker for them every time. So I think this is a nice fit. I'm happy for it.
Can I just say that Dennis totally bursted my Johnny Depp, Whitey Bulger bubble by saying Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are also doing one? Because if anyone knows Boston crime, it's them, and theirs will be better. You just ruined it.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show called Buy and Sell. Here's how this works. In front of Crystal Lee's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. And then Dennis and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Crystal Lee, what do we got?
Robert Lukatek, director of such films as 21, The Ugly Truth, Killers, and Paranoia, has been brought on to direct the upcoming female Expendables film, The Expendabeles. The film is described like this: when America's Navy SEALs are wiped out trying to penetrate the island lair of a deadly despot who has captured one of the world's top nuclear scientists, it becomes clear that there is no such thing as the right man for the job, and that this is a mission so impossible that only a woman can handle it. The only way in, some of the world's deadliest female operatives must pose as high-class call girls, shipped in by private plane to satisfy a dictator, and instead save the scientist and the day. No official casting has been done for the film yet, but names like Meryl Streep, Cameron Diaz, Mila Jovovich, and Zoe Bell have been rumored to be attached. Buy or sell Lukatek directing The Expendables?
I'm going to have to sell this for now. I mean, I am one of the only living, breathing people on the planet who really like The Ugly Truth that he did with Gerard Butler and whatever the blonde actress's name is, who was in Knocked Up with Seth. And I can't remember. Katherine Heigl. I'm one of the only people alive who thought that movie was hilarious. But look, Killers was terrible. Paranoia. How do you make a movie with Harrison Ford and Gary Oldman and make it suck like the nipple on a baby's bottle? Like, how? How is that even possible? And yet he found a way to do it. And nothing that he's done in his career so far shows us anything about how he could handle a high-octane, intense action film. And also, I'm not a big fan of the reverse sexism here as well. Like, if some movie put out a tagline that said, when there's a really hard situation, you can't get a woman to do it. You need to have a man do it. That would be horrible. People would be burned at the stake for that, and rightly so. So I'm not a big fan of this thing of like, there's a job that no man can do. You can only get a woman to. So I'm not a big fan of that. It reverses it, whatever. But I want to be excited for something like this. I want to be excited for something like Expendables. But I'm not thrilled. I'm not finding any of the casting rumors very inspired choices at this point. I'm not thrilled with the choice of director at this point. Not because he's a bad director, because I just don't see a fit here. So for me right now, it's got to be a sell.
I'm going to sell it for the same reasons. I didn't really care for the movies that he's done in the past, and I think they should find a female director like Catherine Bigelow, who before Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30, she had done Point Break and Strange Days. Also, another director not as well known as Susanna White, who directed a bunch of Generation Kill TV show miniseries, and she's a great director as well. So maybe they can find that. I hope maybe Lucy Liu, Gina Carano, or can find themselves onto this casting list as well.
Yeah, agreed. All right, what's next?
I think the title's terrible. Expendables.
That's the only thing I like about it. Is I kind of like the title.
If you're gonna call it that, though, Zoe Bell has to be in it because
Yes.
she's a rock star. So, all right. Anna Kendrick and Rebel Wilson have officially signed on to appear in the upcoming sequel, Pitch Perfect 2, which will be directed by Elizabeth Banks and is scheduled to hit AMC theaters everywhere May 15th. 2015. The original Pitch Perfect made over $115 million at the worldwide box office on a budget of just $17 million and makes me cry every time I watch it. Dennis Byersell, Kendrick, and Wilson returning for Pitch Perfect 2.
I buy it. I really liked the first one. It was funny. It was charming. And I'm glad to see both Kendrick and Rebel Wilson back. But I hope that they make Anna Kendrick's character more likable in the second one.
Right.
Because in the first one, I was like, you kind of come off as like a spoiled brat. It's like, oh, boo-hoo, you got to go to college, and your dad's a professor, and you get to go there for free. Oh, I want to be a DJ and go to L.A. Oh, poor you.
Yeah, the character's not so likable, is it? But for me, I'm going to buy it. Pitch Perfect, we've talked about this before. Pitch Perfect was one of those films that I had zero expectation for at all and was really thoroughly charmed by it. And, you know, Anna Kendrick is, at first she was just, oh, that other side character girl in Twilight. That's what everybody saw her as. And then all of a sudden she's an Academy Award nominated actress, brilliant and up in the air. And I really expected at that point for her career to just go boom. But it seems like Hollywood has been still hesitant to really give her big, solid leading roles. And I was kind of surprised when I saw her in a movie like Pitch Perfect, because that seemed like a little bit of a step down at the time. Turns out she knew what she was doing. Very charming, great movie. But I'm surprised she's not a bigger star today, right now, than she is. She deserves to be a bigger star than she is right now. And I hope this is a hit, so for me, it's a buy.
She was in Scott Pilgrim and 50-50.
Yeah, but smaller
roles.
They haven't let her take a film and really run with it.
I think because
and
she
lead it.
kind of has a quirky side to her.
Yeah, I agree.
That people are maybe a little, scared of banking a big movie on.
Yeah, could be.
But did you cry like me? That's the most important question.
I've only ever cried in 4 movies in my life, so no, Pitch Perfect wasn't one of
Didn't
them.
cry, but had a lot of fun.
All right. It's being reported that Jason Statham will reprise the role of Arthur Bishop in the upcoming sequel, The Mechanic 2. Statham plays an elite assassin with a strict code and unique talent for cleanly eliminating targets. Dennis Byersell, Statham returning for The Mechanic 2.
I buy it. I really like The Mechanic, and I think one of the reasons, too, was Simon West directed it, and he had done Con Air, and afterwards, he done The Expendables 2, which I think was one of the main reasons that I liked Expendables 2 versus the first one. So I'm glad to see that they're making another one with Jason Statham. Unfortunately, Ben Foster will not be returning to this role.
We don't know that, as a matter of fact. It's funny because I think Mechanic is one of Statham's better films.
Yes.
But it was marketed just like another one of these. Statham has about 20 of these little small budget throwaway actioneer films. Some get into theater, some don't, whatever. This is the best of that bunch. Actually, it was thoughtful, had a nice story, really interesting characters. Ben Foster makes 50% of that movie. And when I was reading about it, they're actually saying they're not sure yet if Ben Foster's coming back. How do you bring Ben Foster back? I'm not sure, but it's Hollywood, so I'm sure they can find a way. So I like this character. I like Statham in it, and I like the movie. I want to see more from this character. It's one of his better ones, even though it's kind of, prototypical Jason Statham role. But I thought this one had a little bit more richness to it. So for me, it's going to be a buy. All right, folks, it's that time for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, if you're watching us live, and we do this show live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can tweet us a live question. Don't put it in the live question in the YouTube chat board. You can tweet us a live question. Just tweet at AMC Movie News, which you can see right here. Tweet there. Chrisley's going to keep her eye on the Twitter feed so she can pull questions from there later. But for now, we've got a couple of questions pulled from the mailbag. So, Chrisley, what do we got?
I'm going to cover my ears when you answer this one because I haven't seen it yet. But Gino Nashef writes, how good was the Lego movie? I just came from the new midnight showings. I can't get enough of it.
I loved this movie. I loved it. No, we're not going to go into much detail. We're actually going to do an AMC spoilers review of it this weekend, so look for that to go online probably Sunday night. We're going to have like a full-blown spoilers discussion. But I've spent most of my day humming "Everything is Awesome," and you will too. You're going to be humming "Everything is Awesome" for like a week after you see this movie. It's frantic. That's the word I said. Remember I said to you when we came out of theater? It is probably the most frantic movie I've ever seen. But it charms you, it delights you, makes you laugh. It's got heart. Yeah. It is a wonderful movie. I'm going to see it 3 or 4 times in theaters. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'll probably see it 2 more times this week alone. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm planning on seeing it again tomorrow, and I'll probably see it again before the end of the weekend. I really, really loved this movie, and I think you will too. Anyway, Dennis, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I saw it for the second time last night with you and Ann and Roth, who used to work at AMC. And yeah, it's just fun. There's a lot of humor in there that's for adults, not just for kids. A lot of, Batman kills it. Will Arnett as Batman is hilarious. And I think it's got to be the front runner for Oscar for animated movie.
If another animated film comes out this year that is as good or better than the Lego Movie, this will be one of the best years for animated films ever.
Yeah.
And how good? Look, I always say, look, really, animated characters, get voice actors, you don't need Hollywood stars to do blah, blah, blah. I have a very difficult time imagining anybody else other than Chris Pratt voicing Emmett, the lead character. Like, it is one of the best voice performances for a character, a fit. Maybe not best performance, best fit I've seen for an animated character in a really, really long time. But anyway, we're not going to go too much into it. Watch spoilers this weekend when we do an AMC spoilers review of it. We'll give you a lot more.
And watch the Lego Movie first.
Yes.
Before you actually
make sure you watch the Lego. And Chris Lee, what you will love is this surprise cameo. I'm not going to tell you. No. But there's lots of great stuff. All right, we've talked enough about that. Let's move on to the next question.
Totally not listening. But Wonder Woman's in it. All right, Scott Sipple writes, why aren't the comic writers doing the casting and writing for all of the comic movies?
This kind of question comes in every once in a while. Some people think, comic book writers should just write the script. Well, writing comic books and writing screenplays, knowing what works on a printed page and what works on a big screen, they're 2 totally different things. 2 completely different things. One great example of this, I have a friend of mine who's a fabulous artist, wonderful artist, is a beautiful painter. And then one weekend we got her to help us paint our new offices, and she couldn't paint a wall worth crap. Because, hey, it's painting is painting. No. 2 different types of painting, and they're very, very different things to do. And writing a comic book and understanding what comes across great on a page as opposed to what works in a narrative and works on a live action screen, very different things. And why would you want a comic book artist or a comic book writer to cast a film? What do they know about movies and what do they know about casting? Now, whenever I bring that topic up, this is the rule of exceptions. This is what I call it, the rule of exceptions. Whenever I bring this up, people always want to bring up the 2 or 3 names out of the 100,000 comic book writers. They'd like to bring up the 2 or 3 names. Well, Joss Whedon was a comic book writer, and he can write, so you see, it works. That's 1 out of 1,000. And if you want to put your money on 1 in 1,000 odds, be my guest. But it's the same way. Like, people always like to bring up the exception, because in everything there are exceptions. They like to bring up the exception and then pretend like that's an argument for the rule. But it's not the rule, it's the exception. And I don't think comic book artists should cast movies. I don't think people who cast movies should write comic books. I mean, you're going to have the odd exception where you're going to find the odd guy like a Whedon who's so extremely talented. He knows how to traverse those 2 worlds and make them both great. He knows how to make something work on a comic book page. He knows how to make something work on the big screen. But they're the exception, not the rule. And so that's why let casting guys cast. Let comic book writers write comic books. What do you think?
It's different mediums.
Yeah.
So you need a different skill set and you need different experiences in order to do it. It's not that, I'm sure some comic book writers could do a good job, but they've got to learn the process. You can't just hop over from one to another. I mean, you have someone, this is a different medium, but you have Cormac McCarthy, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning novelist.
Right.
He just did his first original screenplay for The Counselor, which got bashed. And one of the main reasons it got bashed was because of the screenplay. They said it was over-wordy and just a lot of monologues that just don't fit for a movie, which is a visual medium.
Right.
So I think there's a lack of respect in that part, and it's similar to what you were talking about with the lack of respect for acting. I think there's a lack of respect for writing and directing and just the production process that people either just don't understand or they just don't respect it, because you just can't just hop over to things. It's not that simple. You can't be like, oh, suddenly I'm gonna be a director, suddenly I'm gonna be a writer. You know, it's totally different thing. Just the same way that a movie screenwriter can't just go hop into comic books.
Yeah, because it's a totally different thing.
Exactly. Can it work? Sure, but it doesn't necessarily mean just because they're a writer they can do it.
Yeah, my sports analogy is always this: basketball analogy, can you throw the ball from half court and make it go in the net? Sure, it's possible. It's happened, but it happens 1 out of every 100 times. You don't want to be putting your money on making that shot. All right, folks, listen, we got a few minutes left, so we are going to take questions from you guys from our live Twitter feed. Once again, if you want a question live on air right now, you can tweet us at AMC Movie News. Chris Lee is our gatekeeper. She's the one who judges which questions get asked here. So, Chris Lee, what is in our Twitter feed?
Rashad wants to know, which Pixar film do you think we might get first, The Incredibles 2 or Toy Story 4?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to guess Toy Story 4. As much as they deny it, whatever, I think that world they create is just too rich. They know there's more story potential there that they can do. I don't buy the argument of, but Toy Story 3 ended it so perfectly. So what? If there's still more stories to tell more stories. I would want Expendables. I would want Incredibles 2 first. Let's make that clear. I want Incredibles 2 now. But which one is we more likely to see first? I don't know that we're going to see either of them. But I think there's a better chance of us seeing Toy Story 4 before we see Incredibles 2.
I'm going to go with Incredibles 2. I think the demand is too high. I think with the whole Disney buying Marvel thing with the superheroes, that I think eventually we're going to see Incredibles 2.
I sure hope so, man. Okay, what's next?
Jack Skywalker, hey Miss
Ooh.
Gatekeeper, what does the crew think about Franklin Richards appearing in Days of Future Past? Possible way to bring X-Men with Fantastic Four?
Well, if you're talking about Franklin Richards, the son of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, you can't. He belongs to Fox. Anything directly connected in that way to Fantastic Four, which Franklin Richards would be, he's connected to Fox. So no, you're not going to see him in any Avengers thing. See any other way?
Avengers? Did you say Avengers?
No, X-Men or Fantastic Four.
Oh,
okay.
X-Men. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot.
Not
it's
listening.
possible. It's possible, but remember, right now they're starting over with the Fantastic Four babies. So
Yes.
I don't know how long it's going to be until we see the offspring of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, unless they do like a time travel sort of thing, which they have done in the comics in the past. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I think they'd rather put in maybe one of those Fantastic Four. And plus, Days of Future Past has already been shot, and Fantastic Four hasn't even
Maybe
started
he meant like
production.
Apocalypse or so further down the line, yeah.
Maybe.
All right, what's next?
Tyler Hudson wants to know, do you guys think we'll get a Twister sequel that Bill Paxton has been hinting at, or maybe a re-release?
No, I could see a reboot for Twister. I can't see a sequel at this point. I don't see what the upside of doing a sequel would be. Not enough. I mean, the first one was a successful film, but it's not like people were crying out for a sequel to it, and it's been a long time. I think it would make better business sense. I mean, what would make the better movie, a sequel or a reboot? Probably a sequel. But what makes better business sense right now? Probably a reboot if you're going to do anything, or just make another movie about tornadoes. They're making 50 movies about earthquakes and 50 movies about, a second ice age hitting. So I doubt a sequel would happen. What do you think?
I don't think we'll see a sequel or a reboot. I think those type of disaster movies have that trend has passed. I mean, we'll still have
The Rock has San Andreas coming.
We'll have those rare ones, but not like, I think like at the end of the 90s, it was just like all like the perfect storm, the Twister, the earthquake,
Volcano,
meteor coming down to hit the earth. Like it was all disaster
Day
movies.
Before yesterday or whatever it's called. Day after tomorrow.
Yeah, we're kind of more in the superhero comic book and science fiction trend right now. So I don't see it happening.
All right.
Kyle Wallace wants to know if Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie is a commercial success, do you think there's a chance we could see a Biker Mice from Mars or Thundercats film?
Well, we've talked about the other one, no. Thundercats, they have no idea what to do with the Thundercats. They've tried, cartoon versions where they're actually on Earth, teenagers in high school. They've tried redoing a proper Thundercats animated, which actually wasn't all that bad. The Thundercats was in the works for a while and then got shelved. I believe it was Warner Brothers has the rights to them. I could be wrong. It might have been Sony, but I don't know why they can't do a Thundercats movie. I mean, I think it has enough brand recognition. I think it has a nostalgia factor. I think it's got good narrative and interesting mythology. You could do it. But I just don't see any movement on it. Dennis?
I don't see it. If you can't get a He-Man movie off the ground, which is much more recognizable, Thundercats, yeah, I think it was pretty well known, but it wasn't on that same level as like a G.I. Joe, Transformers, or He-Man. So it's kind of a one step below, and if they can't get He-Man, I just don't see it.
All right, what's next?
JB Cassisen writes, with the success of the Transformers movies and Pacific Rim, do you think we will ever see a Voltron movie?
Oh, they've been trying to get Voltron going for a long time. First of all, there was a big legal battle going on for years and years and years about who exactly has the rights to do a Voltron movie. I believe that issue has now been settled in the last couple of years. And then that company has started looking for partners to start developing and writing scripts to get a Voltron feature film in the works. I don't think it's made a lot of progress, but I personally have no doubt within 5 years we will hear about a Voltron movie getting greenlit and actually going into production. Because once again, it's just, there's too much upside there from a business point of view. That movie will make money if you can make it with a reasonable budget. So I think it'll come, but right now it's kind of stuck in the mud.
I loved Voltron when I was a kid, and I would love to see a Voltron movie as long as they do it right.
And I prefer the Lion version.
Yes, the vehicle one sucked. Yeah. I hated the one. It had like 32 parts. It's like the Lion with the 5 pieces was just fine. They have to do that one. But I would totally see it. I'd rather see that than a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, let's take a couple more.
Chris Mo Richman 300.
Whoa.
Do you think Disney will ever release the original unaltered versions of Star Wars back into the theaters?
Yes.
Ooh.
I think not wide release, but I think there is a event factor there. I think there is Disney. I mean, they did it with Wizard of Oz recently, right? Remember, for like the whatever anniversary, they put it back in theater for like a week, for like on IMAX screens for like 1 week. I think there is an event factor there for the original Star Wars trilogy, for Disney to say for 1 week, we are re-releasing it into theaters, blah, 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 because how much money is it going to cost them to do it? Nothing. It's going to cost them nothing. They'll have to put some money into a marketing campaign, whatever. It's just printing free money for them at this point. I got to believe it'll happen at some point. I'm not saying I have any inside knowledge that they're going to do it, not at all. But if you're asking me if I think they would, yeah, I think they will.
I'm praying that they will. And besides opening in the theater, they would do like some Blu-ray release or whatever. But I think the issue is, was George Lucas lying about the prints, though? Because he had said, oh, we can't re-release these old ones because somehow the old prints got lost or damaged or something. We only have these new ones.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
I don't believe it either. I think that was just a lie he told to sell these new versions. So I'm praying that they do.
All right, 2 more.
William Parcell says, do you think Kingdom Come would be a good way to end the DC film universe if they never reboot?
No. I don't think you'll ever see Kingdom Come live action film. It's a brilliant. If you haven't read the graphic novel, actually I have it sitting. It's sitting on my recliner right now as we speak. If you've never read Kingdom Come, it's brilliant. You should read it. It's really great. But it's such a far out there Elseworlds kind of concept. You'll never see a live action version of it.
I don't think we'll see a live action version. I would love to see one. I loved it as well. It's kind of the same reason why we probably will never see a Old Man Logan.
Oh yeah,
one.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I love that comic book, but man, I really wish there was a way to do these alternate universe type stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, 1 more.
Peter Nystrom wants to know if you guys are looking forward to Mad Max Fury Road.
I want to, But there've been a lot of stories going around, and who knows what can be believed, but a lot of stories going around about production problems. They had to go back and, like, they tore up 1/3 of the film and went back and completely redid it, which can be a good thing. I'm not exactly sure the name of the director who directed the original Mad Max. I'm going to look it up right here.
But he's redirecting the reboot, right?
Oh, yeah, he's also directing the reboot. And I am not so sure. Was it George Miller? Yeah. I'm not so sure how much I trust George Miller right now. George Miller was also the guy behind that Justice League movie they were going to do about 5 or 6 years ago with, like, it was going to be the Justice League babies, basically, where they had cast Armie Hammer as Batman, and they had it looked like a mess. I didn't like the direction it was going. We'll see. It's hard for me to say right now. I'm kind of just waiting till I see some actual footage and see a trailer and get a sense of what the tone and the temperature of the film is going to be, because right now I just have no idea what to think.
I'm still looking forward to it. Tom Hardy's in it, and
Yep.
I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic movies.
Yeah,
not all of
me
them.
too.
Not all of them are good, but I'm still a sucker for them. So I'm still looking forward to it.
All right, folks, that'll do it for us. We've run fresh out of time. Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget, lots of great movies playing in AMC theaters right now, including the Lego Movie, Monuments Men, Vampire Cat, Lego Movie, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a big fan of the Lego Movie. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com right now for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. Don't forget, if you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video below, and you'll find links to our Stitcher and our iTunes audio podcasts. And listen, if you haven't done so already, do us a favor. Click the like button and also click on subscribe and become a subscriber to our one and only AMC Movie News YouTube channel. I want to thank, first of all, the one and the only Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and on YouTube ThinkHeroPro.
The lovely Crystal Lee Kennedy. Crystal Lee, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram @Crystal and the Movie Chick on Tumblr, and at the Lego Movie this afternoon.
and you can find me on the various social media channels and at a Lego Movie this weekend, I'm sure, once again, @JohnCampia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. We'll be back again next week. Don't forget to join us then. Until then, my name is John Campia for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.